They say the side of a cube expands at a rate of 2 cm per second. So when you see red, we know it's going to be d over dt. But what's the thing changing over the time? They say it's the side. But since we don't know what is the side of this cube, we're going to use x to represent the side of a cube. But cube have the same length, same width, and same height. Of course, you can use A, B, C, or L to represent, but for me, I prefer to use x. Since they say the length is changing, so we have dx over dt, which is a positive 2 cm per second. If they say the length is decreasing, you're going to use negative. So next, they say find the rate of change of the total surface area. So we know they ask us to find the rate of change. So again, it's d over dt. But what's the thing they ask us to find is the total surface area. For me, I use A to represent the total surface area. So since we know we have two functions here, we're going to use chain rules. So like usual, the first one at the first slot and dt as the last slot. The one in the middle must be something that they're given to us, which is dx. So we now, like usual, we're going to start from the left to the right. So dA over dx, do they provide to us? No. But can we find ourselves? Yes. So how to find the total surface area? So we know we can just draw the net of the cubes. So we know cube is just consists of 6 squares. So in order to find the total surface area, we can just find the individual area for a square first. Since all of the length is x, so x times x for one area is going to be x squared. But since this is total surface area, it's going to be times 6 because we have 6 factors here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is why we say that the total surface area is 6x squared. But since they want to find dA over dx, we're going to differentiate this one with respect to x. So this is why we have 12x. So now we're done to find dA over dx. Can we find dx over dt? It's good enough when they already tell us is positive 2. So now we already have all the information. Can we do it now? Yes. So dA over dx is going to be 12x. dx over dt is going to be positive 2. So now we can say dA over dt is just 12 times 2 is 24x. But now we still have x. Can we find x by ourselves? Yes. There's one last piece of information where they tell us that the volume is eventually at cm cube. So volume is going to add cm cube. But what's the formula for volume? It's basically just the length times the width times the height. So this is why we have x cube is equivalent to 8. It's x times x times x. So if I take cube root for both sides, we have x is equivalent to 2. So we know our x is 2. So just 24 times 2, we have the answer for dA over dt. So dA over dt is going to be 48. But what's the unit? Since it's a surface area, it's going to be cm squared. And when we are changing per second, so 48 cm squared per second. The curve represented by the equation y equal to 6x minus x squared. And they ask us to find the area of a triangle is eventually given by these equations here. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw out the triangle first. After we draw the triangles, we're going to label it with the dimensions. In order to find the length of the triangles, we're going to use the formula of the distance. But since both of them are a straight line, because this is a straight line and this is a straight line, one of them must have the 0 in the difference. So this is why we can just say that the height of the triangle is y minus 0, which is y. And the length of the triangle is x minus 0, which is x. But this is not always the case. It depends on where is the locations. So in order to find the area, we can just use the formula of triangles. A is equal to half times the base times the height. So the base is represented by x and the height is represented by the y. But the problem here is, can we see the equations here? They don't have any y. So we're going to use y represented by x. So how to find y represented by x? It's good enough that they provide us y can be written down as 6x minus x squared. Because why? Because this point is indeed lie on the curve. So it's why we say that it's a 6x minus x squared. So now we can have area is half. So we're going to do the algebra first. X times 6x, we have 6x squared. And we have x times x squared, we have x cubed. But it's a minus, then we are done. Eventually we already show that the area is indeed same as the questions. So question B, given the x is increases at the rate of 2 units per second. So when you see rate is d over dt. But what's the thing increasing? We know x is increasing, so it's dx over dt is a positive 2 units per second. Find the rate of increase for a when x is equal to 2. So they say rate of increase. So we understood that it's a d over dt. But what's the thing increases? Is a, right? So it's dA over dt will be equivalent to, so we're going to use chain rules because we have two functions now. One is area and one is the increases in x. So we're going to do the usual. The first one is dA on top and dt at the last one. But in the middle must be something that they provide to us, which is dx. So do we have dA over dx? No. But can we find ourselves? Yes. So since we have the formula for a, we can say that dA over dx is equivalent to, so what we're going to do is, this is a constant, we can just write it down in front, then only we carry on with the differentiations. So how to carry on is, the square go down is 12x. So we can just say that it's a 12x. Then the 3 go down, 3 times negative 1 is minus 3. X and itself reduced by 1. And we can down expand it, we have 6x minus 3 over 2x squared. So basically we just 1 over 2 times 12 is 6. 1 over 2 times 3 is 3 over 2. So we already have this one settled, dA over dx. Now we're going to look at dx over dt. But they are good enough to tell us that it's always 2. So now we have 6x minus 3 over 2x squared times 2. So this is why we have 12x minus 3 over 2 times 2 is 3x squared. So we found our dA over dt is eventually 12x minus 3x squared. But now we left with only x. But since question 1, they said that when x is equal to 2, so we can just substitute the x with 2. So you can say the answer for A, dA over dt is when x is equal to 2. So we substitute in by using calculators, we have 24 minus 12. Then we have the answer as 12. But since A is area, so we know it's going to be unit square per second. Or we can write down as power of negative 1. How about B? Do we need to do it again? No, because the x is just changing, but dA over dt is still the same. So we can say that dA over dt is equivalent to 12, but the x is now 5. Minus 3, 5 power of 2. 12 times 5 is 60. 5 squared is 25, times 3 is 75. So this is why we have negative 15 units square per second. This is an inverted cone with the base radius of 12 cm and the height of 20 cm. And that asks us to show that the volume of the water can be represented by 3 over 25 pi h cube. So we're going to write the formula for the water first. So since this water is going to take the shape of the cone, so we can say that V is equivalent to 1/3 of pi r square h, which is basically that's the volume of the cone. But if you realize that this formula have no radius at all, so what we're going to do is we're going to replace our radius with height. So what we're going to do is we're using the scale of variations. We know that r can be represented in terms of h. So r is equals to kh, but the first scenario they give us is when the radius is 12, the height is 20. So we can write down as when the radius is 12, the height is 20. So we know the constant is going to be 12 over 20. If you simplify it, you will have 3 over 5. So we can now write down as r is eventually represented by 3 over 5 hash, which is now we can substitute into our equations to get rid of r. So let us do it now. V is equal to 1/3 pi r square hash. But what is our r now? Our r is going to be 3 over 5 hash. So let us simplify it very fast. V is equal to 1/3 of pi. 3 square is 9, 5 square is 25, hash square is hash square, and hash. So we're going to 1/3 times 9 over 25. By using calculator, we have 3 over 25 pi hash square times hash is going to be hash cube. And now it's exactly what they want us to show. So we're done for A. Now we go for B. So B, they say that the water leaks out. So when the water leaks out, it means that the volume is keep on decreasing through a small hole at the tip of the cone. Maybe it's here. So they are leaking out. So now we're going to find the small change in the volume of water. Since they mentioned about small change, we understood it's going to be used delta V over when the height decreases from 5 to 4.99. So we know they asked us to find what happened when there is a changes for the height as well. But the changes in height is a very small in changes, which we can write down as the original height is eventually 5 cm. The new height is going to be 4.99. And what is a small change in hash now? It's going to be the new one minus the original, which is negative 0.01. Because it's a decreases, that's why it's a negative sign. So we know that we can use the differentiation as our approximation tools. So we can see that the delta V over delta H is approximate, same as the differentiation of V with respect to H. So now we're going to do it one by one. Do we have dV over dH? No. But can we find ourselves? Yes. Because we have the formula of V. We just need to differentiate with respect to H. So now we say dV over dH is going to be the power of 3 go down. This is why we have 9 over 25 pi, and the power itself reduced by 1. So now it's h squared. So we already have the dV over dH. Tick. So do we have delta H? Yes. It's just negative 0.01. Tick. So can we find our delta V now? Yes. So we can say that our delta V is equivalent to 9 over 25 pi h squared times the delta H, which is negative 0.01. So now we left with only one unknown, which is the H. So this H is going to be our original H, which is 5. So let us substitute it now. So we have 9 over 25 pi. The H is going to be 5 squared times negative 0.01. But we know 5 squared is 25. So 25 and 25 can cut off, or can just use calculator to count, doesn't matter. So we left with only negative 0.01 times 9 pi. So we're going to have the answer as negative 0.09 pi. But since this is the volume, we understood it's going to be cm cube. And that's all for the small change in volume of waters. Part 2 of the question asks us to show that there is a decrease of p% in the height of water will cause a decrease of 3% in its volume. So we know the small change in height is going to be a decrease, which is represented by a negative sign. P% means it's a p over 100 as compared to the original height. I use h original to represent the height. And we cause a decrease of 3% in its volume. So we know this is what we want to find. So we can say that the delta V over delta H can be used differentiations as the approximation tools, which is dV over dH. But we already find what is dV over dH, so now we can just substitute. Since they asked us to show the delta V, so we are looking for delta V is equivalent to 9 over 25 pi. What is the height? Is the original height, but we don't know. We use HO square times delta H. So delta H is going to be times by negative P over 100 H original. So now we can just to simplify. So delta V is going to be, we settle the number first. 25 times 100 is 9 over 2500. Pi is alone. H times H square is going to have H cube, H original cube. And P, but don't forget it's a negative, so we put a negative in front. So we define our delta V. So since they asked us to find this decrease of 3p% in volume, so how to find the percentage decrease in volume? We're going to use the formula of whatever selected divided by original times 100%. So if you don't know, you can watch my previous video. So what's the selected? They asked us to show that there's a decrease in the volume. So decrease in the volume is delta V, which is represented by negative 9 over 2500 pi H cube P, and over the original. So what's the original volume? Is the 3 over 25 pi H cube. Since it's the divide, we can say that it's going to be over, but if something over is 3 over 25 pi H cube times 100%. So we're going to simplify this one. Negative 9 over 2500 divided by 3 over 25. So by using calculator, we have negative 0.03. And we're going to simplify the variables. Pi and pi can cut off. H cube and H cube can cut off. And with P times 100%. So now negative 0.03 times 100%, we're going to have negative 3p%. So which is same as whatever that they given to us. So we can say that this one is eventually, we should already show it to them that it's 3p% and we are done. Hey, if you have any questions or would like to see any kind of video, do leave your comments below and let me know. If you want to support us so that we could make more videos like this, the simplest way is just by sharing the video with your friends. Click the like buttons and consider subscribe to this channel. See you in the next video.